Jacob Sanderson, Billy Milestone, and your host, Thomas Tipple. Dynasty Podcast. This is the Full Tilt. 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 Dynasty Podcast. Jacob Sanderson, Billy Milestone, and your host, Thomas Tipple. This is the Full Tilt Dynasty Podcast.
It's false. No way. Not this time. We created it.
That's right. This is the Full Tilt Dynasty Podcast, and like a lot of other Twitter analysts, we just made it up. If you don't know what that soundbite is from, please go to YouTube and look up Ripley's "Believe It or Not, It's False," where that's all he says for like 47 seconds. It is amazing. And if you don't recognize me at this point, I don't blame you, but I am still your host with the most time on his hands, Thomas Tipple. And next to me, of course, is my main man. That's Jacob Sanderson, FF_RTDB, and a little change up. Billy couldn't be here because we're rolling today on a Saturday, which will not be the regular. It's just kind of how it worked out with everything. But we did, inquire our mate from around the world, because Full Tilt Dynasty is international in more ways
That's
than
right.
one. Our fellow member of the Commonwealth, that's Tom_Lee92 from Tuesdays, the Fantasy Walkabout. We're here. We've got new sets. We've got new attitudes and a little bit of new energy coming in now that football is actually, back and kicking off, as it is kind of sort of right now in Green Bay. So if you're watching, we thank you for watching. Instead of watching Jordan Love throw some passes, it's appreciated. We love you. Look, the success of the Podfather episode can't be stated enough how much we appreciate everyone for tuning in, the feedback. I've jumped on to other shows as well, the Brothers of Dynasty and the Fantasy Boardroom, and just gotten a chance to actually reach out and talk with some of y'all, which has been a nice change for myself, who's usually pretty quiet, not like Jacob over here, who's up in everybody's mentions all the time. But today, this is, as you can see below me, this is Ripley's Believe It or Not. Obviously, a lot of stuff happened in week one that we're not totally sure if we should believe it or not. Get it? We're real creative on this show. Hey, mate, much love to you, man. I'm glad you appreciate it. It does. This is what hyperfixation gets you. I got an idea, and then it's all I could think about for like 9 straight hours until it was done. So much love to you. Schuler, you're the shit, man. I love you, dude. Look, week one had a lot of takes, if you would. This guy's QB1. Oh, he has to be my wide receiver 5. Even going in, Devonta Smith, is he really a bust? Like, we don't know. It's week one. Like, let's get over it. With that comes some potential for some news. So as we like to do a little thing, because you guys have heard all the news already. You've heard all the reactions. We're on to week 2. We're a little late, but instead of doing a news rundown, because you've heard that already, we're going to do we give a shit? It's just how we quickly sum up the news for the week, reactions to overreactions, and everything in between. Guys, was there something that you saw that made you give a shit? Do we not care? Is it just all chalked up to preseason week 1? Jacob, I'll go with you first.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I'm always just looking for is I'm trying to look at the usage trends. I'm going to shout out Nathan Janke for PFF. Does probably, I think, the most valuable preseason work you can find, where he does a rundown after each preseason week, and he just looks at, with the first team offense, who got which snaps and which personnel groupings, and he does a full write-up for each and every team. I think if you're going to take one thing away from the preseason, just taking the 20-30 minutes to go and read through that, you will find more valuable information than you'll probably find, frankly, even watching half of the games. That's the biggest thing I'm looking for. The stuff that I always get that I kind of phase out is like, you see all these exciting young rookies, like a Jarrett Patterson or Ramondre Stevenson that are out there making plays the third, fourth quarter of these preseason games. Look, it is exciting. Like, I love it. I absolutely love, from a football perspective, watching some of these kids, especially these rookies or some of these vets that have been, trying to fight for roster spots, get an opportunity to show what they can do. But realistically, if you're playing in the fourth quarter of a preseason game, then I probably don't care for a fantasy football perspective. So the biggest stuff that I really give a shit about is, when the first team offense is on the field, who's actually playing and where are they playing? And that's the stuff that really, I think, makes the biggest difference.
So do you see something like, I don't know, because I like to poke the bear, and I heard the stat for the first time yesterday, and I've been waiting for an excuse to trash Kyler Murray when it comes to Lamar Jackson. When you hear things in the preseason broadcasts about how Kyler Murray is the second worst third down passing accuracy in football next to my beloved Sam Darnold, I want to overreact to that because that's fantasy relevant, because that's the first team. And guess what? He still has problems passing on third down. So Lamar Jackson would never. Anyway, the very, very important thing to point out when you see players that you're hyping up. We had Matty B in here with his usual super extra Antonio Gibson defense. Jarrett Patterson isn't taking over the backfield, but I think
unlikely.
He's a player that you're looking for in 2022, or if McKissick gets hurt. Because Barber is gone if he's not cut already, because he should have been cut already. And then McKissick shouldn't be there, right? 2022. So Patterson maybe has a thing. But you're really
the interesting thing with Patterson is that he's being talked up as this pass catcher, and especially in preseason week 1, he was catching a lot of passes. Anyone want to guess how many passes he caught in his last year at University of Buffalo?
I don't want to know.
5 How many passes. Let's go. What, sub 10?
0. He got 0.
Wow.
0.
Hey, we got a quick question here from TD Lamb. Just popped on. Do you like Corey Davis or Elijah Moore in redraft? I'm going to say Corey Davis. Rookies are still rookies. It's hard for them to make an impact. Follow the money there. Corey Davis got the money. He's likely to be the big time target, but Jamison Crowder is still going to be really annoying there. So I'm going to go Corey Davis. Around the horn, Tom Lee.
Yeah, I like Elijah Moore. I'll take the upside of the rookie. Davis will be good, and he's a solid piece, but it's just more interesting with the rookie for me for now.
Absolutely,
Fair,
Corey Davis
Jacob.
for me. Well, actually, I'll say this. A little bit different between like a straight up redraft versus a best ball format, where
Absolutely.
I think that Corey Davis is decisively the answer for me in a best ball format where there's like that steadier production versus in a redraft where I think you can shoot for ceiling maybe a little bit more, but it's still Corey Davis to me. I mean, I think that he actually has a legitimate ceiling. Zach Wilson targeted him on all 4 of his pass attempts that Corey Davis on the field for in week 1. He came out his first 2 pass attempts today on the first drive were once again to Corey Davis. So that's on his first 6 routes, he was targeted on 6 of them. So I think Corey Davis is going to get a lot of work this year. I think Elijah Moore is a really good player, but I would take Davis.
I think Corey Davis is looking at about 120 targets this year if he stays healthy, and you're getting him later, right? I mean, you're probably taking advantage of somebody that wants to take that rookie early, and I don't mean that like, the guy is dumb. I don't mean that. I just mean more you're taking advantage of where you're getting him in drafts by ADP. He's also Corey Davis, because on the Fantasy Walkabout on Tuesdays with me and my mate Tom Lee here, we like to talk about non-draft scenarios. If you're in a dynasty league, it's cheaper to get Corey Davis than Elijah Moore, so remember that. You can get Corey Davis as a throw-in in some deals still. So go and try and do that.
86% target rate for the year, Corey Davis.
That's
do you think
right.
you can keep it up?
No. So look, one of my do I cares is running backs, right? Just as a blanket statement. I don't care if a running back of note, say a J.K. Dobbins doesn't break a 20-yard run in the preseason, right? We're going to see it tonight, but Greg Roman hates playing in the preseason. Like, he hates it. He runs the most boring stuff It's partly why I hate him so much is they don't try new things. They don't want to show the cards by
Hey, they win in the
plays.
preseason, man. John
They
Harbaugh covers the spread in
18
the preseason. Death
18
taxes and
straight.
Harbaugh covering the spread.
That's what we care about in Baltimore, those preseason games. So for me, don't freak out and overreact to running backs like Derrick Henry and those guys not playing, whatever. Don't worry. Your studs are still going to be studs. If you're looking for something, oh, wow, voice crack, buddy. If you're looking for something running back related, just look at the players that are getting the first reps after the starters are gone, right? That's what you want to see. Who's getting the first shots?
Mm-hmm.
I put out this morning that I liked Eno Benjamin as the 78th or 77th running back at ADP, but it was Ward that was out there as soon as the starters went out. So that's something to watch for. That's what you want to look for in that case. So I don't care. I'm not moving ranks, right? I'm not moving Chase up and Chase down and Devontae up and Devontae. Rondale got a bubble screen scripted. That's what they do. It's early in the preseason. They're going to script for those guys.
Yeah.
Do you want a perfect example of what you want to give a shit about, what you don't want to give a shit about that just happened 30 seconds ago?
What?
Yeah, so Green Bay just got the ball, first drive. Out of the seven first plays of the drive, Dylan gets 4 carries, 2 targets, 2 catches, crushing it. Has 40 yards in the drive. Kylan Hill just runs in a 12-yard touchdown. I'm sure that's going to be the highlight you'll see on Twitter. So Kylan Hill season has now begun on Twitter.
Oh, God. That's the kind of stuff, man. I mean, I drafted some Kylan Hill today, actually, and I plan to trade him now that I know that he scored that touchdown. Because somebody will offer me something that of note for him, because that's just how Dynasty works, and that's how your brains work. Tom Lee, real quick before we move on, do you have something that you watched for that you don't care about, do care about? Do you give a shit?
Yeah, it's hard to give a shit week 1 of preseason. It's real early, but I think that the most exciting thing is finally seeing your stud rookies out on the field. That's all I want to see, is just these guys in action. What do they look like when they're padded up? What are they doing? I don't really care if they're producing, if it looks like they click. They've got a bit of time to get this right, but I just want to see them there. It's just been college tape and, all this theorizing, all these takes. I just want to see these guys on the field, taking up the middle if they're running backs, catching out there on the outside, whatever it is. I just want to see them ball out. And it's just exciting to finally see, okay, these are the prospects we've been looking at. What are they starting to take shape like on the field?
I think part of it too is we didn't get a preseason last year, right? So this is the first time in really, it's almost 2 years since we had preseason. Think about it, go from the end of one season, then through a whole nother one, and now we're here. I think it's it's almost like getting used to watching preseason football and what it means again. It's like you got to get used to it all over again, and that's not to be overstated. We're getting to see rookies, and we all want them to go out and absolutely lace 80-yard bombs all the time, or run 75-yard game winners like Vic, right? Like Vic's playing against Minnesota in overtime. You just got to get used to what you're seeing again. And we got spoiled. We got spoiled last year with the rookie class. We're going to remember at some point that rookies do struggle. Matty B, again, people talking about Chase dropping 3 balls instead of demanding 3 targets in such a short period of time. Now, there is some stuff of note, right? Chase did kind of look scared on a few of those. He didn't really look like he was that mean, rough and tough. Yeah, you don't like seeing. There is stuff, and same with Devontae Smith.
He hasn't played football in a long time.
I mentioned. I understand that. Totally get it. Right. But I think I can't remember who you had as a guest, but I always talked about what someone means when they're a dog on the field, and you didn't. Cody, right? You didn't see it from him, and my issue with Smith was tracking the ball. It wasn't a timing thing. He just literally couldn't track it to the sideline. He didn't have to do that a lot at Bama. So there are things you can take from it. It's just important not to overreact to it, and it's important to take advantage of the people overreacting to it in leagues. I acquired Jamar Chase a couple of times at a discount just after last night. I was in the ear immediately. First drop I got in his ear, right? So you can do that, and you should be doing that. Now, normally, before we break into Billy's stat corner, I hit the button and we move on and we roll. But the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast is expanding. We hit you with Mike Davis right? The story of Mike Davis, not that long ago. That's not what this is. Jacob has a little announcement that the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast is moving up a little bit in the world. Jacob, what do you got for us right there in your hand?
Absolutely. The Full Tilt Dynasty podcast. We are thriving. And specifically, we are partnering with Thrive Fantasy. If you want to bet on props during the regular season, and look, we know how stressful it can be to manage all of these teams. You're spending your Sunday morning, you're going into sleeper, move to bench, move back to starting lineup, move to flex, whatever. Look, if you want to just turn into the games, you want to just focus on a couple things, there is nothing more fun than betting prop bets throughout the NFL season. Just bet, over, under on yardage, on points. You can do parlays. You can do all sorts of stuff. You can do that with Thrive Fantasy. And very exciting, I can tell you, if you sign up for Thrive Fantasy right now, you can get a deposit match up to $100 where you put in $100 and you get $100 to go towards your prop bets. And if you do so, please let them know that we sent you with the promo code Full Tilt. That is Full Tilt in all caps, FULLTILT, Full Tilt, all caps for Thrive Fantasy. We will be partnering with them throughout this upcoming season. So definitely get used to some fun ad reads like this, and we'll try and sneak in some prop bets. I know I'm going to have a more daily fantasy focus show going in season, and I can't wait to give some prop tips out there in partnership with Thrive Fantasy on that show throughout the season. So thank you very much to Thrive for supporting the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast, and that's something exciting coming up for this season.
Man, so cool those guys to reach out and hook it up. I can't wait to learn some prop betting. I want to make some money. I'm gonna be signing up. They're gonna be matching mine to $100. Damn right. I'm gonna blow it all and blame it all on Jacob if I lose, because he's my fantasy football moneymaker. All right, boys. Look, no Billy the Stone here tonight, but we are still gonna do a Billy stat corner as we always do with our interim Billy. That'll be Jacob, and it'll be me and Tom Lee trying to make it 9-3.
God.
So let's sit tight. We'll be back for a second. If we lose, I'm blaming it on Tom Lee because I'm the host and I can do that. Sit tight. I think I put the right one up. I did not put the right one up. Whoopsie. Here we are. We're 9-2. Hopefully not predetermining what we're going to do. Look, if you haven't played Billy's Stat Corner, if you haven't seen Billy's Stat Corner, I'm going to give you a rundown. Look, every week, Billy, who is an absolute monster with the data, is an absolute monster with random facts. He always tries to squeeze an MVS. And if he was here with the Packers game on right now, there'd be an MVS answer in here that none of us would figure out. Look, we get 3 strikes to guess the answer. We get about 10 minutes to solve the whole thing. We get 1 hint. So, Jacob, in your best ability, can you please ask us the question that we need to figure out today?
Absolutely. So, as I just mentioned, Nathan Janke for PFF went and wrote up all of the utilization during the first team through preseason week 1, and I really enjoyed reading through that, and so I decided I would pull off our stats corner from that article. So, there were only 5 running backs in the entire NFL who played every single snap with their first team during preseason week 1. Okay. 2 of those played less than 10 snaps. So I'll just give you those. That was AJ Dillon and that was Chase Edmonds. That leaves just 3 other running backs who got 100% of the full team snaps, and each of them played at minimum 10 snaps with the first team. Including one of them that actually played 22. So can you name the 3 running backs who got 100% of their team's first team snaps?
Where you at,
that's
Tom?
a bullshit question. Look, so first one that comes to mind for me is Najee Harris. So I don't think he ever came off the field.
Yeah.
He did not.
So that wasn't it?
No, Najee only got 12 snaps. Anthony McFarland got 5 snaps.
With the first team?
Sure did.
Well, that's good. So the first one we think of is immediately not there. Good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. So let's try to run it down. Like who else?
Yeah, let's go by team. What do we got?
Oh, not Atlanta.
God, no.
Obviously not Green Bay.
Well, he said, because
Oh
you
my
said, Jacob,
God.
that Dylan
Yeah,
was one of the ones.
Dylan counted, but yeah, I already
Yeah.
gave you him.
So we've only got 29 teams to go, so it's fine. We had a good shot
Yeah,
at this.
totally fine. He ruled out. We
Statistically, we've got a good
can't
shot.
rule Arizona. It can't be Miami because. fucking-
Stop Miami. We'll talk about them. I can rule
Browns.
Miami way out.
Oh my God, the snaps he got was totally uncalled
What
for.
about
Can't be
what about
New
like a Zach
England.
Moss?
No, Singletary's played too much. He's played way too much. He actually played really
First.
great today,
Yeah. Okay.
surprisingly enough. So rep the sleeper Zach Moss. We might have been wrong. Don't overreact, Tom. Oh, that's so tough. Javante Booker played a lot,
Yeah, that's
so I don't think
really
Booker played quite a bit.
You mean Freeman?
the-
Booker's on the
it's with
Giants,
the-
bro.
Oh, sorry,
That
my
was two
bad. Yeah,
teams
they
ago.
both-
Booker was over in Denver.
Hey, they both were 28. All right, it confuses me. Yeah, no, Barry, it can't be that. You can't even say New Orleans because Freeman played with the
And dropped the ball.
ones. I think he had 2 snaps, so it can't be him. This is a really specific one, so it can't be him.
I was just checking if y'all done your research. It should have been easy.
Oh man,
Should have been
Tampa.
easy.
You guys are my stat people. I mean, this isn't my thing.
These games are played at 3 a.m. for me. This is hard enough.
Oh, don't the excuses. I see you in league chats and
You can see the sun rising
Whatever,
out the
you
window.
try-
right?
Let's get
Jackass.
one more guess here, and then I can give you a hint
Okay.
if it's wrong.
All right.
okay.
What
Man,
should be a
that's
really
tough.
obvious team, Tom? What do you think?
We tried that already. What about Cincinnati? What about Mixon? I know he played most of the snaps yesterday with the ones.
There's no one else.
Nothing. It's for the record. It's nothing from like yesterday or the day before. This is all just week 1.
I know. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
think like how did the week 1 go with Cincinnati? That's a possibility. This is brutally hard. Tom Lee, what's your best inkling of teams we haven't mentioned before? It can't be Minnesota. That wasn't it.
No. Well, this is the issue because most of the RB1s didn't play with their teams in week 1.
Right.
Like, so we're already into backup guys that I don't like being in.
Well, it's not Eckler, right? Eckler didn't do it because there was way too much Josh Kelly
Eckler didn't
talk.
even play.
Did
on
you
the
say
bird
Carolina?
out,
Did you say Chuba?
No, I didn't. But would that count? I don't think counts.
It would
It
count
counts
if it's true.
Shut up, Jacob.
as-
What I mean is like I'm not excluding backup running backs. Like if the starter didn't play,
Right.
but the backup got all the snaps,
Okay.
that totally
Yeah.
counts.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll say Chuba then. Yeah,
All right.
Chuba Hubbard had to have done it because
There's no
Bonifant
one else on
didn't
the
do
team.
shit. So we'll lock in Chuba Hubbard.
Chuba Hubbard did not get 100% of the snaps.
Like I said, Tom, no way that Chuba Hubbard did this.
Oh fuck off!
All right, I'll try and give you a hint. I'll give you a hint. Okay,
Drop my
two
mouse.
of the players on this list have once suited up or currently suit up for the Baltimore Ravens.
Right. Did you hear that, Tom?
What was the hint? I had to get
The
my
hint
freaking
stayed
mouse
close
'cause
to
I
home for
threw
you,
it.
Tom. I said two of the three players on this list either currently suited up for or once suited up for the Baltimore Ravens.
So instantly I'm thinking Edwards and Ingram, right?
Collins? No. No, because Penny played in week 1, but when did he do it? Oh, you motherfucker. 2 out of the 3 played for Baltimore
Yes.
or plays for Baltimore. Dobbins didn't get all the carries with the ones.
This is your
What
area,
about-
man.
That's such a brutal question. 2 out of the 3. It can't be Dobbins and Gus, and it can't be right. So it's got to be someone like Collins in Seattle or because who else played for? Yeah, so this is gonna suck. We're gonna get it wrong. We're running out of time.
We are. Yeah.
So if we're picking a Baltimore running back, I didn't even watch that game. I didn't look at the Baltimore game at all, really.
Neither.
'Cause I didn't
This is
care.
good.
Who played for? I'm just gonna say Alex Collins. Just to
Alex Collins is correct.
That's
14
what
out of
I'm
14
talking about.
snaps with the first team for
that's
Alex
what I'm
Collins.
talking about. Team
Yeah.
Alex Collins.
Perfect
That's what's
fake
up.
out, Tom. Really
All right,
good.
that's one. Let's fire away.
Cool.
2 more here. Let's go. Let's go.
So it had to
So
be
we got
someone in
one-
Baltimore. I
we got
can't
one more
remember.
Baltimore.
I can't remember if Dobbins even really played. I think he did.
I'm happy to roll with
I was
that.
gonna say JK. You know what? I'll fall in the sword if it's Dobbins and end it.
All right, J.K. Dobbins is correct.
There we
J.K.
go.
Dobbins
Okay,
is
that's
correct.
cool.
So Dobbins and
Oh.
Alex Collins. One more.
Hey, Tom Lee, we got a chance here. We
We
got
got
a
one
chance.
shot.
You got to
here.
think this one through. The Ravens hint no longer applies. What I can say is
Yeah.
this player played the most first-team snaps of any running back in the NFL in preseason week 1. He played all 22 first-team snaps.
22. That
So
is a
it can't
big
be.
number.
You think it wouldn't be a great team, right?
Well, look, it was 22 snaps, and they must not have done well enough to not be plastered all over as the future RB1
What
in
about like a
fantasy
Houston?
football. Nah.
Wasn't Lindsay?
No, because that would have been a huge blow up on the Bird app, and I didn't see one.
There was a little
It's
bit
not.
of
It's not Mac, right?
Mm.
Because Wilkins played too much. It's not Chubb Hunt or Dearness Johnson. Ooh, no, couldn't be that.
22 snaps.
22 snaps is a lot for any player in
lot.
the preseason.
Anything clicking, Tom? What do you think?
Nothing's clicking for me. Najee's out. Like that was the one for me that I thought was a
was-
lock. My brain is still hung up on that because it's derpy, right?
What about the
yeah.
Jets?
No way. Because P. Ryan, all of them played. It was
Yeah.
awful. It was horrific. What about Montgomery? Would Monty have done it?
Seems like a lot of snaps for Monty to play.
But I don't remember it. Oh no, Damian Williams got a snap way too early. Fuck, I don't know. This is brutal. This
We
is a
got-
brutal-
Monty got hurt.
Helmet.
Monty got hurt on the first snap.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Man, this is a brutal question. Can't be Tennessee because what's his face got hurt. Can't be Indy. Wasn't Jacobs. Wasn't Zeke.
All right, y'all got like 10 seconds. This is dead air.
Have a ping,
I
Tom.
can't. I'm working my brain right now. What about Darrell Henderson?
Let's do it. Let's just roll it.
Darrell Henderson didn't even suit up, dude. McVay never plays the starters in the preseason. It was all Xavier Jones and Jake Funk. The answer is Jamal Williams played all 22 snaps with the first team
No,
offense
he
for the Lions.
Didn't.
Yes, he did. DeAndre Swift out with a groin injury. Jamar Jefferson got 0 run until the second half. Jamal Williams played every single snap.
See, I hate this.
Well,
This is so
it was a
annoying.
shit team.
This is so annoying because there are so many stats to go through that it's hard to focus on ones like that, especially at that position. Like you should
is week
know.
one.
We should know. Who had 100% of the snaps on for their team. That's absolute. I guess so. That adjust your
that's-
rankings because Jamal Williams is the RB1 in Detroit.
It's going to
All
be
right.
the hardest
Absolutely
thing.
crazy.
Adjust.
That's-
How to
that's-
adjust. He's the
that's
A-back, dude. He's the A-back.
That's crazy. That was a hard question. I actually feel a little defeated after that. That was
10-2. Man.
tough.
Oh, man. I'm sorry, guys. If it
10-2
makes you
for
feel
the
any better,
Jobbers.
shout out to Tom. You hate Michael Carter. They're now through 2 drives. Michael Carter has not touched the field. It has been all Tevin Coleman and Ty Johnson. And Corey Davis continues to just absolutely mash. With 9 Zach Wilson pass attempts, Corey Davis has 6 targets, 4 catches, 70 yards.
Yeah, he's gonna be a monster. Michael Carter sucks. You heard it here. Look, we're gonna come back. When we get back, we're gonna actually go through some Ripley's Believe It or Not. There was some stuff that happens, and we're gonna let you know whether we believe it or we don't. Sit tight. Okay, if you haven't seen the show, Ripley's Believe It or Not, please, you have to. It's an absolute classic. If you can, get Riker. I don't actually know the name of the actor, but Riker, the second in command from Star Trek The Next Generation, hosts my favorite rendition of Ripley's. You have to watch it. It's phenomenal. Guys, every year in the preseason, stuff happens, and we have to try to figure out if it is real or not. A lot of the times it is false. It is made up by a writer, right? But it's so fitting. So we're going to talk about some stuff as we tend to do on shows like this. So, Jacob, I'm going to start with you. What is your first story?
Yes, I'm going to tell you a story, and you let me know if you believe it. Look, this game got a lot of play on the Twitter sphere because it was the only game happening 2 weeks in a row. I think we've had the Bears on an island game. And, of course, they were playing against the Miami Dolphins, and all anybody could talk about was the snap distribution because Malcolm Brown was starting drives. He was getting goal line work. He was getting some pass game work. And Myles Gaskin, last year's bell cow, was being used as a change of pace back. They talked to Brian Flores about it, and he said something like, yeah, we like all three backs, and we're going to use all three backs. Ripley's Believe It or Not, Miami Dolphins are now a full-blown running back by committee that you don't want to touch.
I'm going to say false. Is made up by a writer.
There's
no way that Brown is going to get all those carries. Gaskin, when he was healthy last year, that's why Gaskin's kind of become a value at his ADP. He was a bona fide workhorse. He's easily flexible. Brown is dog doo. He's trash. He's garbage. He's dog water. He's Brad playing Call of Duty. It's not good. On the field, it's not good in the stat sheet. I'd be more worried about Ahmed. I think this is just a preseason thing. Get the vets in there, get them their respect touches, as I've liked to call them now.
Yeah,
and I don't care. It's gonna be Gaskin for sure. Tom Lee.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be like a lead back role for Gaskin, but it's going to be primarily start with him and see what happens. You're not looking to rotate through all three for me. Like you said, Ahmed has possibly the most juice of the two behind him. It could be a little horses for courses sort of thing, but realistically, I think Gaskin's going to lead it off, and they're going to see how the game goes from there, as opposed to come in with a starting running back committee and try one each drive.
Well, we'll see. First of all, I love the phrase horses for courses. I kind of believe it, man. I definitely still think Gaskin is the lead back of this committee. I think he's the best back of this committee. I think Malcolm Brown is total sludge. However, I think that if you're betting on Gaskin, I don't think that the bet should be that what we saw was just a complete mirage. I think that the bet should just be that he's simply better than Brown and will separate from him as the season goes on. I think people should ask themselves, okay, if my prior is correct, then what's the justification for what happened? And in this preseason scenario, it's like, if Gaskin is the lead back, why do you justify it? Why was Brown getting all those touches? And then more importantly, why was Gaskin continuing to get touches with the second team? That's the most troubling part to me. It's like, you obviously weren't actually just trying to protect him. You're still playing him with the second team. Why wasn't he dominating touches with the first team? And to me, the simplest solution is just that they actually like Malcolm Brown and want to see what he can do. What can he do? Not much.
Yeah, he looked pretty putrid. Tom Lee, hit us with your first here.
So I'm going a little different with this. I want to go with a true or false statement about Australia, because I want to try and bring a little bit of an Australian background to it, and then try to link it to one of our takes, whether we believe it or not, right? So in 2006, an Australian man tried to sell our neighbouring nation of New Zealand on eBay. All right, the bidding got to $3,000 before eBay took it down due to what they call, quote unquote, a policy violation. The statement read, clearly, New Zealand is not for sale. All right. Firstly, do we believe that or not?
I'm going to believe that. I'm going to believe
Do you believe that New Zealand is not for sale?
I'm gonna believe that story because I know of the feud.
Correct, right? So it was true. So this is kind of like us seeing throughout the first week that every single established veteran QB is going to be the starter all season. They're the guy we love. Do we believe or not that 3 out of the 5 of these rookies are going to be starting from week 1? Because this is kind of the way it's looking.
3 out of the 5
of the rookie QBs,
yes.
The first rounders. Yeah.
I don't think Lance will start week 1 because Shanahan is stubborn. I think Dalton is still going to start in Chicago because that guy's an idiot. I think Wilson might be the only week 1 starter of the rookie quarterbacks.
Don't think Lawrence is going to start? You actually think Myers is going to start Minshew?
Sorry, 2. He's such a lock. Like, in my mind, Lawrence has been in the NFL already for a couple of years just because
I don't know. He's in an open quarterback competition, according to Urban Meyer.
Look, Gardner Minshew probably has taken a shit by now. He's probably lost the competitive edge. Exactly. Nah, I think it'll be the 2 then. I think it'll be Lawrence. I think it'll be Wilson.
It's getting
but I just think
right?
Nagy's too stubborn and Shanahan is too stubborn to start the rookies for some stupid fucking old school Neanderthal like reason. So I'm going to say false.
I'll believe it, Tomley. I'll believe it.
Yeah.
You're giving me 3 outs. I mean, I think Lawrence is a lock, Wilson's a lock, and then I get 3 outs. I can have any of Fields or Lance or Mac. I believe it. I'm not 100% sure which one it'll be, but I think that Lance is drawing really live to start week 1. I think Fields is drawing really live to start week 1, especially after today. Andy Dalton has given them basically nothing outside of that one throw to I don't even freaking know what the guy's name is. McGrath. Someone, whatever. He's a guy. Anyway, I think that there's a chance. I thought that Mac was also drawing a little bit live. Cam played really great the other day, so that was a big upgrade for Cam. I don't know. I think if you're giving me a shot of any of those 3, I'm gonna say yes. I'll believe it.
I think that's where I'm at as well.
Okay.
I think like having that line at 3, it gives us a shot of the other 3 being there. But you're right; they all look good in different ways. Week 2 is really what we're looking for to see them progress. Can they do it? But it's exciting from that week 1 proposition.
It's definitely gonna be difficult. Jacob, you're second.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I'm looking at my second one, I talked about some of the usage, and 2 guys that I love, all right, are getting a little bit of blowback in the snap counting community, and that would be Laviska Shenault, Chase Claypool. Both have flashed during this preseason, some really nice plays, especially Claypool in that Hall of Fame game had an absolute beauty. Shenault was hyper-targeted early on in that game. However, when they went to 11 personnel, Shenault never played a snap at 11 personnel with 3 wide receiver sets during Lawrence's time on the field. And then Claypool only got 1 snap at 11 personnel versus 3 for Juju, and of course all 4 for Deontay Johnson. So Ripley's Believe It or Not, Laviska Shenault and Chase Claypool are not set up to become full-time wide receivers in 2021.
That's fiction. That's fiction. Good players will see the field. Right? We always say talent over situation. This is more talented than Chark. Lots been made of his Urban Meyer role, right? And Claypool is just better than Juju, period. The guy was an absolute machine. If you look at the routes and targets and air yards and, production, Claypool was the guy. Like you said, he had that major ball out moment in the Hall of Fame game, right? He had that deep out, got hurt. I think maybe they played it pretty chill after that. I think that's all that is. So
he fell on.
I'm gonna say it's fabricated. It's false.
I'm also on that boat. I think it's false. I think, like you said, talent wins out with these 2 in particular. Claypool for sure. I'm not sure what Urban Meyer's doing in that Jacksonville team at all.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
I don't think I think that's the point. Right? I don't think he knows yet. But I'll back Laviska to be talented enough to see a good amount of use.
Look, I'm super don't care about the Claypool one. He did get a snap in 11 personnel anyways, and we have no idea why the distribution fell exactly, especially on a 4 snap sample. It's so tiny. I should say in 12 personnel. He was only getting snaps in 11 personnel. I think people knew what I meant. But anyways, Yeah, I mean, I just think he's a better outside receiver than Juju. I mean, all we've seen from Juju in most of his career is that he's a really good slot wide receiver and not a very good outside receiver. So I just don't think that'll hold up. Well, this one's more interesting, right? Like we've seen the opposite. We've seen that he is a very competent slot wide receiver, a very good yak guy, and we don't really know if he can develop into an outside wide receiver. We don't get to see him in practice every day. I'm still bullish. I think the upside is there, but I would say I'm more cautious of Laviska's ability to develop that outside receiver versus Chase Claypool.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It's how should I say it? It really shits me to tears to watch good players like Visca Chenault sit on the sidelines and not get those reps. But I do recall saying one of our episodes that Urban Meyer going to the Jaguars scared me for that whole team.
He might just be a total donkey.
Because successful college coaches have a history of going to the NFL and trying to do that same old shtick with veteran players and having it not work. And he looks out of his element. From drafting ETN to everything else that just screams, I don't totally understand what I'm supposed to do. You're not building a program at the NFL level, right? You're especially when you're riding the ship. It's not like you got the keys to a fully functional system, like what happened in Atlanta a couple years ago, right? You're not getting that. You're getting a completely broken down franchise that's been successful one time, right? Well, I guess twice. There's the Burnell year, right? But so people like that worried me. I was on record of saying that Urban Meyer worried me. I would have rather liked to seen a Salah go there, right? Didn't happen. So I'm kind of worried about the whole thing. I still don't believe that though. Tom Lee, your second.
My second one. So we're going back to Australian history. You might have heard this rumor, you might have not. But in 1932, Australia declared war on one of our native flightless birds called the emus. The emus.
I know this one already. I can't answer. I know it.
The war lasted about a month, and we lost. We lost to a flightless bird. So the comparison I draw with 3 second-year wide receivers who should be amazing. We've all got our takes on them. We all like them. In T. Higgins, Jerry Jeudy, and Chase Claypool. Are we going to be done over by a bunch of flightless birds like Juju, Boyd, and whoever else is on that Denver team and actually lose this war with these 3 guys? Can they take the next step? Are they going to do what we think they can do and become the guys we want them to be?
So my favorite, before we answer that, my favorite part about the emu story is that you guys lost that war twice.
Yeah, twice.
You guys have lost to the emus twice. They have beat the
bird,
Australian. They're fast as fuck. Emus. It is my favorite story in Australian culture. That you guys have lost to emus twice. It's hilarious. And
not a known military nation, Australia.
I wish you better. I wish you better fortune in your current war against camels. And hopefully camels don't beat you guys in that war.
The world's largest population of camels.
Yeah, 285,000 or something, and you guys have already kind of
Egypt.
You guys have turned 33. You guys have turned 33,000 feral camels into chalk lines, and past tense. And you've still got like 285 to go. That's brutal. Absolutely, your whole country is insane to me. As for the question, I think guys like Tyler Boyd are going to irritate us all season. I don't think there's any way around it. I think, again, last year we got spoiled. And some of these guys, like especially in Chase's situation with Boyd, last year when T. Higgins went there, he only had to deal with Tyler Boyd, right? Auden Tate wasn't a real concern. John Ross, he was a concern for like one day, right? Now, in Chase's situation, he has to deal with a really good T. Higgins and a pretty average Jacob Sanderson approved Tyler Boyd. And I don't know if that for sure is going to, he's going to, I think he's going to struggle. So I do kind of believe that. I do think we're going to be kind of nerfed by these super annoying, unathletic inside wide receivers on teams that'll have to throw it 600 times for those all 3 guys to hit value. So yeah, I'll actually agree with that one, Jacob.
Yeah, so it was Judy, Higgins, and Claypool, right?
Claypool. Yeah.
Yeah. So can I split my answer a little bit?
Sure.
I think
He's gonna play it safe.
I think I'm not worried about Higgins whatsoever. I actually just wrote about this. I have my next article coming out on Player Profiler is I wrote last time about the anatomy of a league-breaking stack, and now I'm previewing my 5 stacks set to break your league. And my favorite of those 3 Cincinnati wide receivers is by far T. Higgins. I'm not worried about Tyler Boyd. I think Tyler Boyd is fine. I just this team, when Joe Burrow was healthy last year, they threw it on 64% in neutral situation pass rate. That was the highest in the league by a pretty substantial margin. So it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if this team is 650 pass attempts this year. Their defense is pretty average to below average. And so I don't think that T. Higgins is going to need like a 25% target share to be a wide receiver 1. He had over a 20% target share last year as a rookie. And I understand that Jamar Chase is coming into that mix, but they have not had a propensity to throw it to the running back often. They don't have any tight ends of note. They don't have a wide receiver 4 of note. So even if you do give Boyd his 18 to 20% of the targets, even if Chase comes in and gets 20% of the targets, that still leaves plenty of room for Higgins to be in the low 20s. And that goes a long way on an offense that's going to throw it so much. I feel similarly about Pittsburgh. I don't know, man. Everybody keeps saying about how much Pittsburgh's going to run, but they haven't ran the ball at a high rate in years. Like they haven't ran the ball at a high rate in a decade. People are like, well, they haven't had a good running back. Well, when they had Le'Veon Bell, they also threw the ball at the highest rate in the league. They set an all-time record for pass attempts in a season. So maybe they'll run it more with Harris, but I don't think all of a sudden this team is going to go from one of the most pass-heavy teams in the NFL to the most run-heavy team in the NFL overnight. That isn't what their identity has been. So I still think they're going to throw it plenty. I think Claypool draws volume more per route than Juju. He did last year, and he's just elevating. The one that I worry about more is Judy, just because they also have 3 great options. They have Sutton. I don't know if Sutton's a flightless bird, but maybe with the ACL.
Yeah, that was unfair.
For sure. He's looking more emu-like. And then, of course, you have Noah Fant. You have MC Hamler. And then, you got Alberto. You got all this crew there. Judy's the guy who needs that high 20s target share to be a wide receiver 1, right? Like if Judy gets only 21, 22% of targets, that's probably wide receiver 3 city in a Teddy Bridgewater / Drew Lock led run heavy Vic Fangio offense. So I'm more worried about Judy and Sutton, both. It's harder for me to get super amped about them versus the others, just because the volume pie is going to be a little bit tighter in Denver.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that, because I think one of the biggest issues is that the emu for Denver is throwing the ball to the rest of the receiving corps.
Right. So, well, if you think about it this way too, right? Emu analogy, that's hilarious. But so like Australia is a very small continent, right? So if you have all these emus in Australia, it's quite limited in terms of the square kilometers that these emus can take out. If you put these emus into, Africa, they have a far greater expanse to roam. And so all of a sudden the emus are less of a worry. Denver, that's like putting these emus onto like the island of Palau.
Saskatchewan. Actually, I don't know how big Saskatchewan is. That's not fair. But yes.
Bigger than Palau.
Yeah.
He's just assuming it's tiny.
It just doesn't sound great. That's not the point.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
Tom Lee's going after all the people in Saskatchewan. Eh?
We lost the war to an emu twice, so I'm throwing.
You would definitely lose to a bunch of jacked up hillbillies hammered from Canada that live in Saskatchewan if you lost to a bunch of emus. I'll tell you that much right now. Look, for me, it's pretty simple. The year is 1972. A man sneaks into a warehouse where World War II fighters are stored. He flies it over the ocean, lands it in another country, and sells it for $285,000 after fueling it. Well, it's false. It's completely made up. It's fabricated. Created by a writer. Much like the idea that Marquez Callaway cannot produce as a wide receiver 15 if Taysom Hill is the starting quarterback in New Orleans. I know our man Jacob over here beside me was the king leader, the crown.
The Callaway king.
The Callaway king, right? The swatter of emus in this case. But Callaway is, in fact, a fucking baller.
Callaway.
Where Jacob has built it up, and I'm just taking it, and I'm now going to
I got the Tennessee hoodie on today for him.
He does.
God.
Look, Jameis Winston will be better for Callaway, probably, because he's going to throw 5 interceptions in the first quarter. But it was Taysom Hill on the field that fed Callaway for 3 receptions and 60 yards. And as much as we want to talk shit, or people want to talk shit, not me, I'm actually now a Hill believer. Taysom Hill can throw the football to like a 65% and higher completion percentage. And he has better than average arm strength. And Callaway fits the mold of that wide receiver that will be missing with Michael Thomas gone. He's big. He's not as explosive, but neither is Thomas, neither was Colston. He literally fits the archetype of receiver that they like in New Orleans, and he played well so far in the preseason. Big plays, 20-yard receptions over the middle, catching with his hands, body control on the sidelines against the Ravens secondary, the ones in the secondary. If I'm not mistaken, it was Peters he burned on the deep ball. He lost Humphrey earlier in the game for another. Like, he is a baller. Okay, and I just drafted him, and I know you don't care about your draft, Tom. Yeah, I get it, but I drafted him in the 13th or 14th round. I believe so heavily in him as being that high wide receiver to play. I believe Callaway is out of the other 3,472,000 wide receiver threes that exist, and he is now going to elevate himself, has that ceiling. I don't think it's a wide receiver 1 ceiling. Right, I think you're going to get that value of the wide receiver 15 to 19 in points per game. It's going to be awesome. You can Ripley's believe that, sucker. Boys, I'm going to start with Tom Lee. How are you believing it? Are you fading the idea that Callaway cannot produce that wide receiver upside?
I had my doubts. I did coming into this because you knew he was going to get the opportunity, but I hadn't seen him do it across the field. Like the concept of Thomas running a slant and Hill throwing the ball to that slant made sense. I was okay with that, right? It's like, yes, this could work.
I could get that basicness of that 5-yard play.
I didn't grow up playing football, but I understand that concept. And then I thought, well, Callaway's on the outside. That's fine. You might throw the odd deep ball. And then I saw Callaway starting to run routes. And I went, oh, okay, this guy has some pretty good route running, right? Like, he was getting open in comebacks. Like you said, he got open deep against a really good, like you made a great point, against a really good Ravens defense, right? I'm like, oh, this is good. And then Taysom threw the ball, and he had, like you said, some zip on that arm. Like, it was coming out with some heat, and it wasn't just sailing with heat. Like, it was actually hitting somewhere near a catchable radius. So,
right,
like, this could actually work. The key for me is now, can they do it for the season? When does Thomas come back? What does that do? What does it change? And can he get enough done early in the season to just establish and become this guy that we think can finish somewhere in that wide receiver 2 range? That's still a little bit out for me, but absolutely, I'm sold. Like, I like what I saw, whether it's Winston, whether that's more ceiling or not. Just take the lower ceiling or take the floor and go, regardless, one of these guys is throwing in the ball. I like what I saw. Yeah, I'm in.
I think you're getting 6 to 8 targets per game from Callaway until Thomas gets back. And even when Thomas comes back, how effective is he going to be?
Exactly.
That's what I'm wanting. So in every league that Jacob's not in, I'm trying to go get him. Jacob, do you think we know?
Look, I mean, we got it, baby. Go Vols, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Here it is. Tennessee Volunteers right here in the house.
Go. Vol City.
Dude, I mean, first of all, obviously, he's been ridiculously fortunate with the way this offseason has gone, right? But that was part of the reason why you should have been scooping him up. You should have seen this team is in cap hell. So when Emmanuel Sanders leaves, when Jared Cook leaves, they can't replace them with anyone. They don't have the money to go and sign anyone. They don't have the picks to go and draft anyone. So Where did that leave them, right? They had Thomas, Traquan, Troutman, and Callaway. Thomas, obviously, that was unforeseen. But he's out now. He's probably going to be out for minimum the first 4 games, probably the first 6, maybe even more than that, right? Traquan's dealing with an injury. Traquan, I'm done with Traquan. We've had 3 years of Traquan opportunities to establish himself as a volume receiver. He's not. He's a big play receiver. That's fine. But he's not going to play that Michael Thomas role to the extent even anyone could. And Adam Troutman, hype man of the offseason, what was he doing? He was doing this. He was blocking. right? Adam Troutman, blocking tight end. So who's actually running the route? It's Callaway. Here, this is the nice thing about Taysom Hill. Michael Thomas had a higher target rate with Taysom Hill than he did with Drew Brees. Taysom Hill, I mean, this is a guy, he has an arm and he's got the physical tools. I'm not particularly sure that Taysom Hill is a guy who's going to be going from read to read to read to read. I think he's a guy who gets in the huddle and he's like, I think I'm going to throw it to this guy. And as long as he's mostly open, I'm going to just lock onto him and throw it to him. So if Callaway's read one in a Taysom Hill offense and he's able to get open consistently, he is going to get fed with targets, because this is not like a Phillip Rivers, Tom Brady, who's experienced, who's going to go through all of their progressions, who's going to look guys off, who's going to find the open man. Taysom's just going to find his man. And it seems like his man right now is Marquez Callaway. So I'm pumped up. I think he's got the full skill set. His route running looks great. He's got the size. He can box out. He can make contested catches. He's not a burner, but he has ample speed. He can get down the field. He played a variety of roles. And, like, he is used to bad quarterback play. Have you watched the fucking Tennessee Volunteers at any point in the last year? I hope not. Jarrett Garantano is an absolute freaking disaster. Taysom Hill's 10 times the quarterback of Jarrett Garantano. I think Taysom is fine. Tom, we're in a draft right now. We started. Shout out to @Cam's Not Sober. We just did start. I just took Taysom Hill in that draft in the 13th round. Same round where you took Callaway. I think Taysom Hill is drawing very live to start. I think whether it's him or Winston, Callaway's going to get peppered with targets as the wide receiver one without Michael Thomas there.
100%. And even with Michael Thomas there at the end of the season, I think you can count on Callaway as being that guy for them, because recovering from that kind of thing and then no preseason, no workout, no training camp, Thomas is going to struggle this season. Period. I think it's Callaway season for this year. Then you can ship him off later and do what you should be doing as a fantasy football manager. That's going to wrap it up for the most part for us tonight. I did just want to give a shout out to What's the Spread. This is a podcast from a group of people that I have gotten to know through a league, and they focus on that Big Ten content. Look, they talk about the spreads, who you should be betting for, who you should be betting against. They just popped out an episode here recently, August 19th. I have listened to it. I loved it. When we do our draft coverage, I've already talked. Good job, Tom. Spoken with the guys that run it. They're going to come on and they're going to join us. We're going to talk some Big Ten players. Really get an advantage there. The information, I got to say, is top tier. They give you everything you need to know from players that you should be watching in the Big Ten. I mean, they opened the show talking about Rutgers, which is an immediate way for me to smash and follow, because for some stupid fucked up reason, probably has something to do with me being adopted and not having parents. I've developed a love for Rutgers, which means I've developed a love for punishment, and it's just stuck with me. There's no reason for me to like Rutgers, but you know what? I'm here. And they're near and dear to my heart, and they're going to get stomped according to them. I believe their over-under for their wins was 3, and I think they both took.
Sounds about right.
So, shout out to them. They're a great pod. That's What's the Spread. It's hosted by Daniel Starr. You can catch him at @DStar 2Rs18 on the Bird app. I got to tell you, seriously, go and check it out. I don't say this often when it comes to shows, because there's 872,000 of them. But this one, I got to say, is absolutely top tier. As Jacob had mentioned, with Thrive Fantasy, use promo code FULLTILT. They'll match you to $100 on your deposit. You are silly if you're not trying to do that. Definitely get at that. Again, promo code FULLTILTCAPS. Get in on it. As for myself, I am your host with the most ominous hands, Thomas Tipple FF. Jacob, you just pumped out an article this week. Hit us with a brief note of that and whatever else you have along the way.
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. That's awesome with everything you're saying about those folks. That rocks. I'm sorry you're a Rutgers fan, but as a Tennessee fan, I can certainly relate to cheering for a really hopeless college program. My latest article is out on playerprofiler.com. It is called The Anatomy of a League-Breaking Stack. If you look at Christian McCaffrey's legendary 2019 season, right? The top 2 rate, so you're advanced to the rate at best ball tournament or getting to the finals in a redraft tournament. that was at 42%. If you look at Lamar Jackson's 2019 season, I believe that was 41%. You're right in those mid 40s. You could have had that same advancement rate last year by stacking Stephon Diggs with Josh Allen. So hitting on that mid-round stack is the way that you can recapture that elite upside of any player. So I went through, how do we diagnose those mid-round stacking options, right? Not the Mahomes Kelsey, not this year's Diggs Allen, last year's Diggs Allen. Over the last 7 years, I went back and I looked at the most impactful stacks, the 3 to 5 of each of the last 7 years. And what's the criteria? What we found was that there was a number of archetypes that emerged and that we can use that to predict who it's going to be this year. So we went through all of that historical data in the first piece. Now my second piece, I just drafted it. It should be out sometime next week on who the top 5 candidates are. If you think you can guess, definitely let me know on Twitter. And then the last thing I really just wanted to say is obviously everybody knows that an absolute legend in the fantasy football space. Of course, Mike Tagliere, Tags, is battling COVID right now in the hospital. And so from our very little corner of the fantasy football world, the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast, we wanted to send our thoughts and our prayers and everything we can, goodwill out to Mike Tagliere. Of course, I can't recall a time that I was playing fantasy football and I wasn't listening to Tags on the Fantasy Pros podcast, even going back when I was 16, 17 years old. So, hearing anything that's going wrong with Tags, our heart is with Tags and his family.
Yeah, it's real tough out there, man. So it's a reminder to stay safe, right? And stay respectful and mindful of the people around you. Your views may be different than others, but just remember that, people are still fighting it. So let's just keep it a reminder to, let's be thoughtful and best wishes out there for sure. Tom Lee, obviously you are relatively quiet on the old Bird app. You're not as boisterous as the rest of us, but you yourself has released your first little tidbit. It's the quarterback true value over on
fantasy Dynasty.
Yeah, exactly. It's fulltiltdynasty.com. And they can find you over there at Tom_Lee92. You also run this little show with me called the Fantasy Walkabout, where we like to talk about things that, shit us to tears and why we don't come around to fuck spiders and we just get right to work. You'll learn a bunch of new stuff over there. You can let everyone know a little tidbit from the blog you posted on fulltiltdynasty.com. What was your blog about?
Yes, I mean, the idea is heading into the season, we're going to have a little weekly value scoop. We love talking true value over the walkabout. So it's looking at what you can do with your roster and whether or not players are doing their most for your team, whether you're just lazy with it, whether you don't know what to do with players or how to think about them. The idea is to dive into a position or 2 positions each week and look at, okay, here is a popular guy. Most people are happy to have them on their roster, but are they doing the most for your team whilst there? So in the first one, the first installment, we dive into 2 quarterbacks in Kyler Murray and Stafford and have a look at whether or not they're doing the most value for your team by being on it or by being shifted off it. So have a read, go check it out. And like you said, when we're doing Fantasy Walkabout, there's going to be more Aussie slang. We need to start our Aussie slang bracket. Best Aussie slang, start with 32, maybe not 32, might make it smaller. Start with a bunch of Aussie slangs and start whittling our way down towards the favorite Aussie slang, and then hopefully get Tom to try and put it into a couple of sentences and learn how to be a true blue Aussie.
See if I can figure a way how to use them correctly. Well, look, I'm fanging for more Aussie slang.
It just sounds like more and more that you're starting to want to fuck the spiders, and that's my concern. I just want to make sure.
Hey, we don't judge. We don't judge.
Exactly.
Look,
we're spider positive. And this has always been our take.
Spider positive.
So it's just making sure that everyone out there, we
to
want
be
to
clear,
attack the Aussie slang.
not being here to fuck spiders means we're not here to fuck around, right? We're here to get the business.
Correct.
So let's not get
to
that.
be very clear.
Let's not get that part twisted. I want to make that part very clear. And like I always like to say, if you agree with everything you heard on the show, well, you got to let us know. If you disagree with everything on the show, well, you definitely got to let us know. Look, we are here every week to try to give you a positive vibe. We got a shout out from Billy in the chat. He's right here. He's messing up
Billy?
the outro here. We love you there, Billy. Can't wait to see you next week, homie. Look, always staying positive is the vibe that we're here for, right? We want to be a positive vibe throughout the season, whether you're tilting through your minds or laughing at your friends for tilting out of theirs. It's what brought us together, is what's going to keep us grinding. Be kind to each other, right? Miss us with all the bullshit. We'll continue to be missed with all the bullshit. We're here to provide you with some entertainment and maybe a little bit of a different take from what you're seeing all over the place. And you can get all of those takes and all of those good times at fulltiltdynasty.com. You can also catch our other episodes from Full Tilt Dynasty podcast over at the Dynasty Vipers Network, where guys like Matt Donnelly and people like Tara and her Tara Time are out there ripping up the Twitter sphere. I am Thomas Tipple FF. I'm your host with the most time on his hands. We'll be catching you back with the Fantasy Walkabout over there on Tuesday. And again, be kind, be genuine, be right. And again, with tags, be safe. I mean, we're all rooting for him. We're all pulling through for him, and just wishing only the best, man. It's all you can do in this situation. But other than that, go Ravens. Panthers suck. Ravens are going for 19th straight. Be safe. Have a great day, everyone. And like I always tell you, it's clear eyes, full hearts, can never lose. So be safe, everyone. Ciao for now.
Jacob Sanderson, Billy Milestone, and your host, Thomas Tipple. Dynasty Podcast. This is the Full Tilt. Full Tilt. Full Tilt. Full Tilt. Full Tilt. Dynasty Podcast. Jacob Sanderson, Billy Milestone, and your host, Thomas Tipple. This is the Full Tilt Dynasty Podcast.
It's false. No way. Not this time. We created it.